today's video, we're going to be installing these headlights that are in this box currently. Obviously, I've talked about this recently in the past couple of videos. My headlights are not doing the best. This one's actually completely shot, and that one's just starting to fog up. So we're going to give them a little revamp with these new headlights. All right, so let's see what they look like. Packaging looks pretty nice. Oh yeah. Look at those. Those are sick. Those are sick. Oh yeah. Those are sick. All right, if you want to know where I got these, I'll leave the link down below. Believe it or not, once again, got it from Amazon. So Amazon's like my favorite place right now to get stuff for my car, because one, it's cheap, two, it gets here soon, and it's just always reliable. So we'll get to going on the install. Obviously, we have to take this bumper off first, so that's going to be quite the process. And then we have to wire those, get those in, and then that'll be the end of the video, but let's get cracking. All right, so like I said, the first thing that we have to do when we're installing new headlights, we have to take off the bumper. So we got to come around here. This is the first thing that we're gonna do. There's three little clips here. You got one right here, another one right here, and another one up behind, right there, behind the side marker. So we got to take those off, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I know there's different types of clips, but mine is the kind that you can just pop off with a flathead. Some are Phillips, so you just have to look at yours and see what kind you have. So I'm gonna take these off. All right, and that's the last one. So what we're gonna do now is just repeat that same step, but on the other side. All right, so now that we got all 6 of those taken out, we're gonna go put them in a spot where you won't lose them, because they are pretty small and you wouldn't wanna lose these. It would just be a mess, so. All right, so now what we're gonna do is take this trim remover tool and do it the same way that we did in the removing and replacing these side markers video. So we're just gonna take this, stick it up in here. It pops loose. All right, and now we got this out. So instead of taking the whole thing off, all you have to do is pull this back, and then you can get in where that clip is. Let me go grab a flathead. All right, so then we just take this and pop this clip loose somehow. I'm not exactly 100% on how this clip works. All right, so there's that loose, so that'll be easier to put back on. All right, so now that we got that done, we are gonna move on to the top here. So there are 7 bolts. So you got this one over here on the headlight, then you got this one right here, and you got one in the middle, one on this side, one right here, one right there as well, and one right there. And then there's 4 fasteners that you're looking for to remove. So you need to remove this one right here, this one, and lastly but not least, this one right there. So we'll remove those and get to going. All right, so it is gonna be a 10mm head, so just go and find one of those. I like ratchets, but if you have a wrench, that works too. All right, so now that we got all 7 of those bolts out, we're gonna go and move on to the 4 fasteners. All right, quick side note for you guys that wanna get really detailed with taking your bumper off and cleaning it. I'm gonna take these 7 bolts here, put them in that cup. I'm gonna take some WD-40 and spray it in there, shake it around, then dry them off with a towel just to get all the rust and stuff off. And I'm also gonna do the same thing with these fasteners. I'm just gonna toss them in here And then I'm gonna use some glass cleaner because you don't want to use WD-40 on those. All right, so the last thing that we have to do that is on this side, once you get the side marker taken off, it's actually the clip that holds the side marker on there. We have to take that off to get the bumper off. All right, so now that we got that last one removed, we can start removing the bumper. Most places will tell you that it takes 2 people. That is not the case. It is better with 2 people because obviously you can have 2 people on each side and it just works better. But I'll show you how you guys can do it with just 1 person yourself, and we'll get to going. All right, so now what we're gonna do is, since we only have 1 person, we're gonna just barely pull this side out. We're not gonna really yank on it. We're just gonna barely pull it out. It's gonna stick out just maybe an inch, just about like that. And then we're gonna go and do the same to the other side. All right, so we got that, both those sides pulled out. Obviously, I didn't know this. I don't know if all cars have this or it's just something that the user before me did. But there is 4 clips on the bottom that have to be undone. So I'm gonna go and do that, and then we'll pull off the front. So now we got those clips off from the bottom. So now we're just gonna pull the whole thing off. So now we got that bumper off. So the wiring harnesses that I was talking about are right back in there. So you're gonna need to just unhook that one wiring harness, and then it'll all come off for you. The next thing that we're gonna do is take off this little plastic piece here. Now there are 4 different bolts. So they are all your 10mm bolts as well. So now that we got these bolts off, we're just gonna pull this plastic part off here. And then we're just gonna set it down here because it still has other things connected for the side markers and stuff. All right, so before we actually take this off, it is kind of a little loose right now anyways. We're gonna go undo these 2 electrical connections. So this one, the bigger one, is easier to undo. This one, there's not really a clip, you just have to slide it off. There's a clip on the bottom of that one. Now we got those wires disconnected, so now we can just pull the whole headlight off. And there we go. So I've already done that same thing on the other side. It looks kind of weird now without lights, but we'll get those new ones installed that are in this box, and we'll go from there. Quick interjection, this is another little thing that you can do if you really want to get detailed on your cleaning and stuff. Obviously you can't really use too much water because there's electrical wirings and stuff everywhere. All right, so I'm just gonna use a rag and then some of this glass cleaner. Once again, just spray it on the rag and wipe down the surfaces that are dirty. All right, so now we got both of these out. You can tell the one, my left side one that was completely out, it actually has water in it down at the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it just sloshes around. It's all rusted. It's just disgusting. This one doesn't have any water in it yet, but as you can tell, it's getting fogged up right along here. Most stock headlights, I've heard, do that normally, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. Was planning on replacing them at some point for something that looked cooler. All right, so now we're ready to get these new headlights installed. They already came with lights and everything, so that is nice. They also came, I'm not exactly sure how the wiring is gonna go, so it's gonna be a little trial and error. But they got these. I don't know necessarily anything about wiring on a car and whatnot, so we'll try to figure that out and go from there. So now we're gonna get into the new headlights and all of the wiring. You can do like HID bulbs with this. There's a kit for it you can get, but I'm just gonna stick with the normal bulbs. I'm gonna eventually upgrade to some LEDs, but right now I just have normal bulbs in there. So let's see, this is very easy. There's just, here, we'll pull this out for you. There's just this little connector here. And all you need to do is just plug that in. It's basically like plugging in a wall outlet. I mean, I can literally do it with one hand. So just plug that in, and then we'll get into the rest of the wiring on the car. All right, so we get the first in light installed just to make sure everything works. Everything works the way I did it. So now I'm gonna show you guys the way that I did it on that light. All right, so on this, I just put the bulb in. It is a normal H7 bulb. It's just one, you can honestly probably get it from Walmart. Just a cheap bulb. I want to get LEDs at some point, but I didn't have any at the moment. So that's what we're going with. So we're just gonna put this back in the same way that we got it out. So now we'll start on this bottom piece. Remember, you got the two here, and then you have the one on the end there. All right, so now we're gonna make sure that they work, such as the turn signals, the daytime running lights, and the normal lights, and the high beams. All right, so now that they work, we just have to put this bumper back on, and then finish up the wiring, put the side markers back on, and put all the rivets and the bolts in, and we'll be good to go. So I'm gonna just time lapse that, and we'll be done about right now. All right, so now we're finished. We got the bumper back on. These lights look freaking amazing.